Leandria Johnson was born on January 23rd, 1983, in Palatka, Florida. You won't believe she started singing when she was only 2 years old, right in her father's church. Let me tell you, music was always in her blood. She grew up as a pastor's daughter and learned to play music by herself. As she got older, she became a praise and worship leader at a church in Altamonte Springs. At first, she felt like she was meant to spend her life serving God and singing for Him. But here's the shocking part. Leandria's journey was never an easy one. She was a single mother of 3 children, trying to raise them all by herself. Life was very hard for her. She worked hard every day, trying to make ends meet, trying to keep a roof over her family's head. But then came the moment that changed everything. This is where it gets interesting. In 2010, when Leandria was only 27 years old, she lost her home to foreclosure. The world felt like it was falling apart. What makes this story different is that she was also trying to pursue her passion for music at the same time. Even when she had nowhere to stay, she refused to give up. That year, she decided to try her luck and audition for BET's Sunday Best, a gospel singing competition. Let me tell you, this was no ordinary audition. Leandria came with no fancy dress or expensive shoes. In fact, she came wearing flip-flops and gym socks. People looked at her and wondered if she even belonged there. The judges weren't sure at first, but then came the moment that changed everything. The craziest part was when she began to sing, "This is the day the Lord hath made." As soon as she started, the room went silent, and then came a standing ovation. Leandria sang like her whole life depended on that moment, and it did. Here is the shocking part. She didn't just make it through the auditions, she went all the way. Leandria won Sunday Best that year, gaining over 2 million votes from people across the country. What makes this story different is that she came from a place of heartbreak and struggle, and she rose to stand on a national stage. Let me tell you, this was just the start of an amazing yet challenging journey that would test her strength, her faith, and her will to survive. Leandria's win on Sunday Best felt like a miracle. It was a moment that gave her a chance to step out of the darkness she had been living in. Let me tell you, after that victory, she was no longer the same person. The world began to notice her voice, and she felt hopeful for the first time. But here is the shocking part. Life was about to test her strength again, in ways she never expected. In 2011, when she was at the top of her rise, something happened that shook her to the core. Her brother was shot and killed in Orlando, Florida. You won't believe how much this hurt her. Just when she felt like she was finding her place, tragedy pulled the ground out from under her. The craziest part was that this happened right before a benefit concert she had planned called Up from the Ashes. Let me tell you, this concert was supposed to be a symbol of how she rose from homelessness and heartbreak, and suddenly it became a symbol of deeper pain. Leandria was broken, but she refused to cancel. In that moment of heartbreak, she found strength she didn't know she had. What makes this story different is that she didn't run away from her pain. She stood on that stage and sang, knowing her heart was bleeding. The concert became a powerful moment that spoke to so many people, reminding them that even in their worst moments, they could still rise from the ashes too. But the pain didn't end there. 5 years later, in 2016, tragedy came knocking again. Leandria lost another brother, Gregory, who was also a father and a talented musician. Let me tell you, this was another blow that felt too heavy to bear. It was a moment that shook her faith and tested her strength like never before. But here is the shocking part. Leandria refused to give up. Instead of turning away from music and ministry, she embraced both, pouring her grief into every song she sang, every word she spoke. What makes this story different? It's that she chose to transform her pain into purpose. Even when the world felt too dark, she kept singing, Even when the losses felt too deep, she kept sharing her story. This is where it gets interesting. LaAndria used these moments of tragedy to connect with people in a way that felt real, raw, and honest. Let me tell you, this was the making of a voice that would inspire millions, a voice that refused to be silenced no matter how much it suffered. LaAndria had been through heartbreak after heartbreak, and yet she refused to give up. But life was about to test her in another way, one that she could never have imagined. Let me tell you, this is where things took an unexpected turn. In 2015, when she was a rising star in gospel music, a video surfaced online. In the video, LaAndria was holding a bottle of tequila and openly drinking while talking to her followers. You won't believe how quickly it went viral. The world watched as a gospel singer, someone who preached about strength and faith, was now openly showing her struggle with alcohol. Here is the shocking part. This wasn't just one moment. In 2018, another video surfaced, and this time it was much worse. LaAndria appeared intoxicated and spoke openly about how hard it was to stay sober. The video shook the gospel music industry, and many people were disappointed. What makes this story different? It's that LaAndria refused to hide. Let me tell you, she came out and admitted she was fighting an addiction. In 2019, she went on the show Fix My Life with Iyanla Vanzant, and she revealed the depth of her pain. She spoke openly about how alcohol had taken over her life and how she felt like she was drowning in a sea of judgment and heartbreak. The craziest part was that she ended up serving 30 days in jail because of her struggles with alcohol. Yet, even after that, the world didn't stop talking. Let me tell you, in 2024, she was arrested in South Carolina for public intoxication. It felt like a moment when many thought she had fallen for the last time. But here is the shocking part. LaAndria refused to give up, no matter how many times she fell. Even when she felt broken and ashamed, she stood back up. This is where it gets interesting. LaAndria used her pain and struggles as a way to teach others about the reality of addiction and the need for compassion. What makes this story different is that she refused to pretend she was perfect. Instead, she embraced being an imperfect person serving a perfect God. Let me tell you, this chapter of her life was not the end. It was only the beginning of a new fight for herself, for others, and for a ministry that would openly accept broken people. Through all the heartbreak, the addiction, and the moments when many felt she was finished, LaAndria refused to stay down. Let me tell you, this is where her story became truly different. After everything she had been through, she chose to rise up and use her pain to help others. In 2013, she started Imperfect People Changing, a ministry that was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. You won't believe this, but LaAndria chose to open her arms to those society often ignored. She gave out cigarettes and condoms in struggling neighborhoods, saying that people didn't need judgment. They needed help, understanding, and a place to feel loved. Here is the shocking part. Many criticized her for this. They said a pastor and gospel singer had no place doing things like this, but LaAndria refused to back down. What makes this story different is that she believed you didn't have to be perfect to be a part of God's family. Let me tell you, she used every piece of her pain, every broken chapter of her life, to teach others that no matter how low you fall, you can rise again. Even when she was criticized, she kept singing. Even when she was ashamed, she kept sharing her story. The craziest part, the very moments that felt like the end became moments of new beginnings. The girl who once sang in flip-flops became a Grammy-winning singer. The single mother who lost her home became a voice for the broken and the forgotten. The sister who buried her brothers became a beacon of strength for countless people walking through grief. Today, LaAndria's voice carries a depth that only comes from knowing pain, knowing heartbreak, and knowing the beauty of rising from the ashes. Let me tell you, She is proof that life doesn't have to be perfect for you to make a difference. This is where it gets interesting, that no matter how many times life tries to break you, you can still stand tall and use your story to light the way for others. LaAndrea Johnson is not just a singer. She is a symbol that reminds us that it's okay to stumble, it's okay to hurt, and it's okay to be human. What makes this story different is that it doesn't end in despair. It ends with a lesson for every person listening. Your scars can become your strength, your pain can become your message, and your broken moments can lead to your biggest victories.